We really don't know, Beverly, exactly where these cases have come from. Of course, the immediate suspicion has fallen, perhaps understandably, on the flotilla, almost, of ships that have come in from a number of countries, including Australia, New Zealand, China, France, the UK, Japan, to provide very welcome aid to Tonga in the wake of that terrible eruption, volcanic eruption and tsunami in January. That aid, of course, was really badly needed, but Tonga has always been anxious about the chance of those supply ships bringing in aid also bringing in COVID. This was always the great fear for a nation which, despite the fact it's quite highly vaccinated, was really worried about the impact that the disease, in particular the Omicron strain, could have on its health system. Now, that fear may have come to pass, but it's a little bit early to say. We do not know for a fact whether this outbreak can be linked definitively to an aid vessel or a vessel carrying aid, or to another sort of vessel. Instinctively or immediately, suspicion fell on HMAS Adelaide. That's the huge Australian Navy vessel that brought so many supplies to Tonga, arriving last week on Australia Day. The reason that suspicion fell on HMAS Adelaide first was simply because we knew for a fact that there was a COVID outbreak on board. Originally some 23, growing now, we're told, to around 51 people on board. And so immediately people were online anyway, pointing fingers at HMAS Adelaide. Now, it's too early to be absolutely definitive about this, but the early signs seem to point away from HMAS Adelaide for a couple of reasons. One, it docked at a wharf which is a couple of kilometres up the coast, if you like, from the commercial dock where these two workers were with COVID-19 were working. So that points away from it. Secondly, both the Tongan authorities and the Australian authorities say, as far as they can tell, there was no contact between these people and the ship or the supplies. So that also seems to point elsewhere. So although it's early days and it's difficult to be absolutely definitive, there seem to be some early pieces of evidence that point away from HMAS Adelaide. So where else could it have come from? Well, I mean, look, it's speculative. Some people are speculating maybe it came from other aid ships. China, for example, sent a couple of fishing vessels from Suva with aid. Perhaps it came on that. Perhaps it conceivably came on a ship from another country. Perhaps it came on a commercial line, a ship perhaps from Fiji. But the truth is we simply don't know. And until the Tongan authorities actually get to the bottom of this, incidentally, they're asking Australia to help by doing some testing on those initial samples from the two dock workers. It's all going to be pretty speculative.
And Stephen, HMAS Adelaide itself has run into more problems than just COVID. The numbers on board are spreading. They've also been grappling with power outages.
That's right. The ship actually left Tonga, although it's not far off Tonga now, we're told, and it suffered what we were told was a pretty serious power outage. Now, getting the details on exactly what happened has been difficult. We've got a few more hard details from the Defence Force today. A senior defence officer revealed that there had been two full power outages, one of about 5 hours and a second one for about 6 hours. So it's about 11 hours in total where it was completely without power. Now, this is obviously pretty serious for a defence vessel, particularly one of the scale of an LHD, essentially a helicopter landing vessel that we're talking about here. And the fact that there was such a total power failure would be causing real anxiety here in Canberra, particularly as it's proven to be a problem that's cropped up in the past. Now, today we've been told that they've managed to get the systems back and up and running again. We're told that refrigeration, sanitary services and the like are up and running again. And the Defence Force is trying to play this down, saying it's pressing on with talking to the Tongan government about what assistance it can offer next, potentially to some of the more far-flung islands of Tonga. But there's no doubt that this was a serious power outage that did leave the ship crippled for some 11 hours, albeit in two separate circumstances, and that caused significant discomfort and difficulty for the crew, particularly the technicians who had to work away in really blisteringly hot conditions to try and fix the problem. So I think it's safe to assume that the ADF and the Australian Navy will be concerned about this, and they'll want to get to the bottom of exactly what happened and why.
Good to talk, Stephen. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Beverly.